Video is not working.
Okay, so now let's continue in the Gemara. We're up to here on Zion Amud Aleph, towards the bottom of the page. And this is a new piece of Gemara, a further discussion about the Matanis Lev Yonim, about the gifts to the poor, as well as we'll learn about the gifts that people send to each other. Zog di Gemara Tani Rabbi Yosef. So Rabbi Yosef learned that it says in the pasuk, "Umishloach manos." Manos means portions, plural. Ish l're'eyu, that they set up the days of Purim for sending manos, portion, plural, ish l're'eyu. So it's talking about one person, ish l're'eyu, and he's telling you that manos, that you put two gifts to one person. So the mitzvah of shalach manos, to send gifts, has to be two portions to one person. Shnei manos li'ish echad, two portions to one person. What is the meaning of manos exactly? Says Rashi, mine madanim, types of delicacies, not maybe just plain, although the mitzvah of shalach manos can be fulfilled with any food, but Rashi seems to imply, like when it says that Eliezer came, he gave umigdonis nasan lachio, that means, that shows like treats, a special, seems like that's included in the word manos. How much do you send? Shtei manos la'odom echad, two portions or two parts to one person. You see, because the verse says umishloyach manos ish l're'eyu. So we're saying that shtei manos, two portions, la'odom echad, to one person. The Gemara is going to say further, it says umatonois lev yonim. So it says matonois means gifts, plural. So if it would just said lev yonim, that would mean you give two gifts to one poor person. But the pasuk says give gifts to plural, to two people. So that means shtei matonois l'shnei bnei adam. You give two gifts to two people. So that means that each person only gets one gift. Dai l'kol echad ve'echad matona achas. It is sufficient for each one and one to get one gift. Okay. Since evyonim means plural, if you're giving plural gifts to plural poor people, that means that each one of them gets one. So two gifts to two poor people, so each one gets one. So as the Gemara says, matonis levyonim, zok the Gemara, shtei matonis, shnei bnei adam, two gifts to two people. The mishloach manos ish l're'eyu is two gifts to one person. Matonis levyonim is one gift to two. One gift per poor person, but to two people, to two poor people. So the Gemara relates further. Rabbi Yehuda Nisio, Rabbi Yehuda, the leader, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Shodar Leil Rabbi Ishayo, he sent to Rabbi Ishayo, Atamo, the Iglo Tilso. Went to the show, he sent him something very choshev. Atma means the thigh, the leg of a calf that was born the third. Somehow a calf that is the third born is considered to be more choshev, more important, more tasty, or better. So therefore, he sent him this eglo tilsa, and he also said to him the garba de chamra. He sent him also a bottle of wine. So he sent him two items. One was a leg of the third born calf, and then he also sent him a bottle of wine. Sholach lei. This is what Rabbi Yehuda sent to Rabbi Shai. So Rabbi Shai sent back to Rabbi Yehuda, Kiyamta banu Rabbeinu, that you have fulfilled, our master, you have fulfilled with us Mishloyach monis ish l're'ehu. You send two gifts to the friend. Someone may mistake the way some of the commentaries explain it, that what Rabbi Shai was telling Rabbi Yehuda, that notwithstanding the fact that you only sent one food item, and the other one was a drink, was wine, was a bottle of wine. So what he's trying to tell him, still you fulfilled Mishloyach monis, because of wine, a liquid, a drink can be considered as a mono, and you fulfilled Mishloyach monis ishtarei. That's one interpretation. Now, Matanos Levyonim doesn't seem to belong over here because they weren't, Rabbi Shaya wasn't poor. Rabbi Yehuda did not fulfill that mitzvah. It's either just because he's quoting the whole pasuk, or maybe some other people question whether it has to be these words in the Gemara over here. Hachi Garsina, the Gemara says this is what the version is. Kiyamta b'na Rabbeinu mishloach monos. Seems like Rashi is trying to say that the word Matanos Levyonim is extra over here because there was no Matanos Levyonim over here. It was only Mishloach monos. And why? How did you fulfill the Trei monos? There is two portions. So even though that one of the portions was a bottle of wine, it still counts. And then the Gemara says, "Hodar shalach le'iu legarsin alacha." That second that he went and sent him, that's not learned over here. We'll see in a minute. Later on, the Gemara will bring that down as well. But right now, the Gemara is not the gears over here. Now the Gemara gives you another case. So the Gemara, Rabba Shodar Lei Limori Bar Mar Biyad Abaye. Rabba sent to Mori, the son of Mar, in the hands of Abaye. Abaye was the shaliach. He lived in Rabba, lived with Rabba, and he sent Abaye as a shliach to give shalach mones to Mori Bar Mar. What did he send him? He sent him Molei Taska to Kasba, a full sack. Taska is a sack of Kasba, of dates. He sent him a sack full of dates. So that was one portion. And he also sent him Umoli Kosa, a full cup of Kimcha de Avshuna, flour that has been roasted, the wheat that you roast, and then you make flour, it remains always sweet, Rashi says. The Avshuna. What kind of a flour is it? Says Rashi. Shenisyapshu hachitim betanur ba'oidon karmel. These wheat have been dried in the oven while they were still caramel, meaning they were still soft. And once you dry them and then you grind them into flour, that flour stays sweet. Anyways, so he sent them these two things. Apparently, they weren't considered to be, like before we learned he sent him a leg of an animal, but this seems to be a more modest kind of a mishloach monos, to send him a basket, a sack of dates and a cup full of flour. That seems to be. So Amalei Abaye, So Abaye says he saw what a meager shalachmonis it was. He says to him, Omar Abaye Rabbe, Abaye said to Rabbe, Hashta Omar Mori. Now Mori will say, now he will say, he will be surprised. You know, you have at this point, apparently, the reason that he said Mori Bar Mar became the head of the yeshiva over there, that's why Rabbi sent him Shlach Monas. But he sent him. So he says you have a person working in the field, and you know he uses a very simple basket to feed the animals. You know, he's a peasant. He feeds the animals, but then he always keeps that, even when he has to go at a more important mission, he still keeps his old sack. He meant to say, before Mori Bar Mar became great, and you're still giving him the very simple Mishlach Monas as before. He says like this, Hashta Omar Mori. Now Mori will say, Achshav Yoimar Mori Alecha. Mori will say about you, about Rabbi, that you sent him such a cheap Shalach Monas. He says, I chaklo malko lahavi. If a peasant, a chaklo, who works the fields, becomes a king, malko lahavi. The kula mitzavere leinochis, the basket that he carries on his neck to feed the animals, he won't let it go. In other words, he still behaves like he did before. You should have given him something better. I chaklo malko lahavi. Dikula mitzavere leinochis. He says like this. What does it mean? Hasal shahoya rogil lahoilich. That basket that he was accustomed to carry, to lead, be'oidenu, ben kfar, when he was still a villager and he dealt with the animals. And if he feeds the animals, he's not going to take it off from his head. You keep on wearing that same old peasant kind of basket. Kach ato nasis melech. So he was talking, actually, not Mori became, but Rabbi became the king. Rabbi became the Rosh Shiva. You became a king. Ato nasis melech, like Malka. And you're the head in Pumbedisa. And you're not sending him but things that are common to everybody. You should send something more distinguished. The Gemara says, so when he brought it to him, so then Mori Bar Mar sends back with Abaye to Rabbi Molei Taska Dizangabilo, a full basket, a full sack of zangbilo, that's ginger, a full sack of ginger, umolikosa de palpalta aricha, and a full cup of long peppers. He sent them back. I guess he sent them something not so important, so he sent them back. And not such an important shalach monas. He sent them back a sack with ginger and a cup filled with long peppers. So now he always has a comment. So Abaye is making a comment now to Mori Bar Mar. Omar Abaye. So Abaye says, Hashto Omar Mar, now my master, Rabbi will say, Ana shadrilei chulya. I sent him sweet stuff because he sent him the dates and he sent him the sweet dried wheat, the flour of the dried wheat. So he's going to say, I sent him sweet stuff. But he sent me sharp stuff. He sent ginger and these long peppers. So here we have an interesting statement by Abaye again. Omar Abaye said, Kinafki mi beimar, when I left the house of my master, of Rabba, I was full. Kinafki mi beimar, Rashi, Kishayetzosi mi beis Adoni Rabba, Leilech lebeis Abba Mori Barmar, to go to the house of Abba Mori, son of Mar. I was satisfied, I was full. When I came there, when he came to Mori Barmar, Krivu li shitin tsoi. They brought to me 60 plates of various different foods. Shitin 60 tsoi. Tsoi is a Rashi. Kaira is shalmine machel. They were plates, all various different kinds of food. The shitin mini kedera of 60 types of kedera, of cooked stuff. Va'achli bohu shitin plugi. And I ate them in 60 different places. Ubishula basraisa. And the last cooked stuff, havikodilate sli keder. They called it a pot roast. Sli keder, pot roast. Uboyi lemichas, and I wanted to chew tzoa basar. After all this food, I still wanted to eat the plate. Let's see what Rashi says. The kasya litzoa basroi, kasya means chewed. Hoyisi chofetz, lokus akayda achrov. I wanted to chew up the plate. In other words, that's how hungry it was. If you're not eating normally, it's not called eating, it's called koises, chewing. Because this was like unusual. Trying to eat the plate, that was a koises. So it was koises eating the plate. I mean, this whole story is a little bit difficult to understand with all the food. So there's an interesting interpretation of the Chassam Sofer, who says that when I left Meimar Havis Savain, I was full, meaning I was learned. I was satisfied with my Torah studies. But when I came there, they gave me 60 plates. 60 plates represents 60 Talmudic tractates. And in each tractate, they presented the different topic. Those are the plates of food, of Shiti Mini Kedera, of 60 types of food, because each Talmud, each tractate has a different topic. And I ate it in 60 different places. The last cook was, they called it roast, pot roast, that had to do with the Masechta Pesachim, because then you eat tzli. The Torah says tzli. And he says, I wanted to eat the plate. It was so good. I wanted to eat the plates following that. But that's the interpretation. Omar Abaye. So Abaye said, for a person to be like full and then be able to eat 60 more dishes, it's kind of exaggeration. So he says, Hainu damri inshi. This is what people say. Kafin anya v'layada. Hungry is the poor person. He doesn't even know it. He didn't even know that he was hungry. So he thought it was full. Inami, another way to look at this is Rafcha libsim shikiach. There's always place for something sweet. You can find space for it. It says, for a dessert, even if you finish your whole meal and you're stuffed, but for a dessert, you find space in your stomach in order to eat it. So Rafcha libsum shkiach, says Rashi, Revach motzui ledover hamosuch v'soich hamayim, that you find space for something which is sweet inside of the intestine.
Inside the intestine?
The Gemara further continues to talk about these The story about the B'Shleach Monis, and the Gemara says, Abaye bar Ovin v'Rab Chanina bar Ovin, these two rabbis, Mechalfi Seudusayu lahadodi, they swapped their meals with each other. Rashi learns, what does it mean they swapped their meals with each other? Mechalfi Seudusayu. So Rashi says, Ze oichelim ze v'purim shel shana zu. 1 year Purim, one would eat with this one. Ubeshana shniya seid chaveri imay. And then he would next year eat the meal together with his friend. Basically, tell us that a Purim Suda, according to this understanding, a Purim Suda should not be eaten alone by a person by himself, but rather with other people. So they would change, 1 year go to this house, and the other way go to his other house. Other people learn that these people didn't have enough to send gifts to their friends. They were poor, so they didn't have enough. So they would have a meal together, but instead of each one eating their meal, they shared, they swapped meals. Rambam says that. And they gave to the other person the meal. So they fulfilled the mitzvah of Mishloach Monos by giving it to the next person and the other one giving it back to him. Further, the Gemara says the very famous statement, Amar Rava, says Rava, Mechayiv inish lebsume bepuriyah. Person is obligated to become drunk on Purim. Labsume, says Rashi, lehishtaker biyayin, to get drunk with wine. And what is the extent that one should get drunk? Zok the Gemara, adelo yoda bein orur homon, until you don't know the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai. What does it mean you don't know the difference? Basically, it doesn't take that much knowledge to know that Haman is cursed and Mordechai is blessed. We say that in Shoshanas Yaakov, Orur Haman and Baruch Mordechai. Doesn't take that much knowledge to know that. But if a person is so drunk that he doesn't distinguish anymore that Haman is cursed and Mordechai is blessed, then he fulfills the obligation. Other people say that there used to be like a chorus. You would say like a few words, and then you would say, and everybody would say, Orur Haman. Then they say another few words, and everybody would say, Baruch Mordechai, so on and so forth. And what happens is, when they got so drunk, they couldn't know how to rhyme and say the right words in the right place. Either way, some people say that the next story in the Gemara is actually coming to tell us that this extent of getting drunk is not positive. Or other people brought down in Shulchan Aruch, fulfill the mitzvah by going to sleep, so they can't tell the difference. But I guess by Hasidim and by many Jewish people, they fulfill it literally, this mitzvah. In any event, Zog the Gemara relates another story, that Rabbi v'Rabbi Zera avdu su'udas Purim b'hadei adodi. They made the Purim meal together. What happens? Ipsum, they got drunk. So the Gemara, Kom Rabba got up, shachted l'Rab Zera. If you read it literally, it means he shechted. He shechted Rab Zera. It means that he killed him. But the Mefarshim have explained already that it may not mean literally. Maybe he forced him to drink, that he got him so sick that he almost died. Or some say it's sachte, squeezed him. Or the Rebbe has a whole talk about it. Shachte means that he drew him up to his level, in which in shachat alo moshach, to higher level. But either way, Rab Zera's life was in danger. So Lamacha, the next day, Boy Rachmi, he asked for mercy, he prayed to Hashem for him. and he revived. So again, literally, this would mean that he died and he made Tchias HaMesim, but Farshim explained that it didn't mean, it means that he got very sick, and then later on, he prayed for him, and he got healthy again. Okay, so what happens? L'shana, next year, Amar Lei, so Rabbi says to Reb Zeda, Neisei Mar, Master, let's come. Let's make another Purim party together. Let's do it again this year. Amar Lei, so Reb Zeda says to Rabbi, no. He says, I'm not taking any more chances, he says. Loi b'chol shaita v'shaita misrachish nisa. A miracle doesn't happen all the time. So, you were able to heal me the last time around, but I ain't taking no chances. And I guess he didn't accept the invitation. He refused the invitation. All right. Further, Rava says, Rava, Sudas Purim, Sha'achla balaylo, the meal of Purim that you ate at the night of Purim, Lo yotzo yidei chevasei, you had not fulfilled your obligation. My time, what's the reason? Yemei mishta v'simcha ksiv. It says days of partying. A day means that you have to have daytime. In order to party, it has to be the daytime. Yemei mishta v'simcha ksiv. You have to have the days of mishta v'simcha. Zog the Gemara. Rabbi Ashi have Yosef kamei da meimer. Rabbi Ashi was sitting in front of a meimer. Now, a meimer was the rabbi. Rabbi Ashi was a student sitting in front of him, listening to him, or he was giving the class. Noga, so it got late. Got dark. And the rabbis hadn't shown up. Noga v'lo Rabbanan. So Rashi, Icher hayoyim. The day was delayed. And the students had not come to the Beis HaMedrash. Amalei. So Rabbi Ashi, Ameimer says to Rabbi Ashi, my time Rabbanan. Why did the rabbis not come? Dilmo Tridi B'Sudas Purim. Maybe they are preoccupied in the middle of Purim. I guess that's what he answered him. I'm just trying to think. So he told him, so I guess Rabashi told to Ameimar. Ameimar told Rabashi, they couldn't eat it at nighttime. Why didn't they show up? So Rabashi said back to Ameimar, Amarlei, so he said back to him, that we just quoted, what Rava said, Sudas Purim shachla balaylo, if you ate at night, so they couldn't eat it. Amarlei, so he said to him, Amar Rebbe Hachi, did he say so? Amarlei, in some people don't have that verse, he says yes. Okay. So he told it to him 40 times. And it was appeared to him as if it's in his pocket. He knew it so well that you're not yotzim. I'm not so sure what the chiddush over here is so much. I have to look this up. But he says it became like something which is like in his pocket. I'm not sure why do we choose specifically something like this to say this and to use this thing. There's something more meaningful to this, but we'll leave it at this. Go weiter. Next Mishnah. Zog the Mishnah, Ein ben Yom Tov l'Shabbos, Eloich nefesh b'vad. You see, the previous Mishnah talked about no difference between the first Adar and the second Adar. So as a result, because it talks about the difference, Ein Ben Yom Tov Rishon, Ben Oder Rishon, Oder Sheni, the Gemara comes back with a whole bunch of Ein Beins. There's no difference. So the Gemara says, Ein Ben Yom Tov LeShabbos, there is no difference between Yom Tov and Shabbos. Now, as Rashi will point out, there's a lot of differences in the penalty phases, but we're talking about what you're not allowed to do. So basically, whatever you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, you're not allowed to do on Yom Tov either. The only thing that you're allowed to do on Yom Tov that you can't do on Shabbos is something you need to eat for the soul of Oichel Nefesh B'Vad. Ein ben Yom Tov l'Shabbos. So Rashi says what we're talking about. We're talking about something you should be permissible to begin with on Yom Tov, what you also b'Shabbos. Whatever you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, you can't do on Yom Tov. So that's what we're talking about. But as far as punishment, yesh harbe, there's big differences. Shezeb is skila b'koris, because any job on Shabbos you get skila, and there is koris involved. If there is no edim and you don't get skila, you get koris. The zebelav gridi, but on Yom Tov there's only a prohibition. There's no koris and there's no missing. So Rashi explained, but to begin with, what you're allowed to do, when anything you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, you're also not allowed to do on Yom Tov. So the Gemara. Holy Inyan Machshira Oichel Nefesh. The only thing he allows on Shabbos is what you need to do for the food. But what about the preparation for Oichel Nefesh? Zev is a Shavin. They're both equal. So, what happens, for example, you don't have a knife to shecht with. So you're not going to go fix the knife on Shabbos, on Yom Tov. Only the shechting of the animal you can do, the cooking of the food you can do. But if you have to build an oven to cook the food, you can't do that. That's called the machshirim, the prepare that help you Oichel Nefesh. So the Mishnah says the only thing you're allowed to do on Yom Tov is Oichel Nefesh. But Machshir Oichel Nefesh, Zev is Eshavim, they're both equal, you're not allowed to do it. Zev is Eshavim, Zok Rashi, Asurim b'Yom Tov ki Shabbos. They will be Asur on Yom Tov, just like Shabbos. And the Gemara says, Masnisin d'loike Rabbi Yehuda. This means that our Mishnah does not go with the view of Rabbi Yehuda, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, you can do not only Oichel Nefesh on Yom Tov, to begin with, also the Machshir, the Tanya. We learned in our Braisa. So the first opinion, Tanakam, is like our Mishnah. It says, Ein ben Yom Tov l'Shabbos elo Oichel Nefesh. The only difference between Yom Tov and Shabbos is what's needed for consumption of the Nefesh. And then the Gemara adds, the Braisa adds, Rabbi Yehuda Matir Af Machshir Oichel Nefesh. He also permits the preparation of Oichel Nefesh. So not only the actual cooking, but what you need, the utensils, you can do that in Yom Tov. But I think about my time at the Tanakama. Why is the Tanakama say that you're not allowed to do the machshirim, the preparation, you're not allowed to do on Yom Tov? Because Omar Kro, the pasuk says, so it says, who over there it says. So we say that alone. The word who is exclusive, and it's exclusion, saying only that. Over there the pasuk says only so the word who is a emphasis that only oichel nefesh v'lei machshir. So why does Rabbi Yehuda say you can do also the machshirim? So Amar Kro, the pasuk says lochem. So hu levadei yosel lochem, for you, meaning everything. L'chol tzorchechem. The extra word lochem means for you everything that you need. So if you need to make the oven, you need to make the knife. Go ahead. What about the Tanakama? Why doesn't he allow it? It says lochem. So he says over here, to you means lochem and lochem that you can only do for a yid, but you're not allowed to do for a non-Jew. You're not allowed to cook on Yom Tov. You're not allowed to do for klovim, but not for chol tzorchechem. So the Gemara says v'idoch nami oksiv hu. So how come he says, but the pasuk says who only would mean exclusionary, which means a clause that it can only do it. How come he allows? How come Rabbi Yehuda allows even the machshirim, even those that prepare? And the Gemara says like this: Ksiv hu, ksiv lachem. So we have one pasuk that says hu, which means only oichel nefesh. Other pasuk says lachem means you can do everything. How do we reconcile it between the two? So there's a difference. If it's such preparation that you are able to do from before Yom Tov, as for example, shefshek, you had a sakin, you had a knife that was blemished from Erev Yom Tov, and you can't use it to shecht with it. So we say, why did you wait till Yom Tov? Go ahead. The pasuk says lochem. Yeah, but the pasuk says who? You won't be able to do it. Go fix it before Yom Tov, so you have a good night for Yom Tov. Well, the Torah allows you to do machshirim kan b'machshirim she'efshar l'soisim b'me'er Yom Tov. If you can't do it from Erev Yom Tov, she'efshar, you can do it to go in sakish and nivkov Yom Tov. What happens if the knife was blemished on Yom Tov? You can't use it to shecht, then you're allowed to do it. So he says he makes a compromise between the two psukim. So you could do machshirim because it says lochem, but you can't do those machshirim that you had an opportunity to fix them from before Yom Tov that you should have fixed. So he doesn't allow that. So while in the Braise, Rabbi Yehuda just says you can do machshirim, but he only means, as the Gemara explains, the machshirim that you can't do from yesterday. But if you could do it from yesterday, you're supposed to do it from yesterday. Next Mishnah. We're on a roll over here. Mishnah. Ein ben Shabbos liyom Kippurim. What's the difference? There is no difference between Shabbos and Yom Kippur. Elo shezez doinu b'dei Adam. If you do work on Shabbos, the Mezit, Zudoinu, you get punished by humans, based it. Punish you. Zez doinu b'koros, but the punishment for Yom Kippur is koros. The Adam says Rashi, Yeshbo Mrs. Bezdin. There is the death penalty, capital punishment. So the Gemara, holy in Tashlumim. So it seems that they're all the same. What does it mean with regards to pay? Usually we have a halacha that we learn from the pasuk that if a person violates a violation which has with it a death penalty, and he also is obligated in a monetary payment at the same time, he's going to be exempt from the monetary payment because the pasuk says that you punish him for the severe punishment, and we don't punish him to punishment also for the lesser of the punishment. So let's say if you violated the Shabbos and you damaged somebody's property at the same time that you did the violation. So then the penalty is going to be only the death penalty. And that will be even if it's a situation when there is no death penalty, there's only a chiyuv misa. We don't do monetary punishment when there is a capital case. So the fact that the Gemara says that Shabbos and Kippur is equal, so the Gemara says holy inyan tashlumim, but as far as payment goes, zev is shavim. In both cases, if you are obligated misa by beis din, you're not going to pay for monetary penalties. And the same thing is if you did it on Yom Kippur, where the penalty is only koris, you're also not going to pay. So the Gemara says, Moni Maslisin, who does the Mishnah follow? That's the opinion of Rabbi Chaim Wolosow. This is the opinion of Rabbi Chaim Wolosow. The Tanya, for we learned in the Raisa, Rabbi Chaim Wolosow would say he would make Yom Kippur, even though it only gets Kodesh, it has the same din of Shabbos for payment. Ma Shabbos mischayv benafshi upater min tashlumim. Joseph's Shabbos. If a person is liable with his soul, which means he's capital case, you would be exempt from payment. Af Yom Kippurim, same Yom Kippur, even though the penalty is not b'dei odom, it's a penalty of Kodesh. You will be liable with your soul and you'll be exempt from payment. So the Rashi. Af Yom Kippurim, mischayv benafshe. Even Yom Kippur is chayv nafshi. There's no Mrs. Bezdin. No, the Isur Kodesh ki Mrs. Bezdin no, because the prohibition that gets you Kodesh is equal to the prohibition will get you the Mrs. Bezdin, and you pturim ilashalik, and you'll be exempt from paying. So Yom Kippur, just like you're exempt from paying on Shabbos, you'll be exempt on Yom Kippur. On Shabbos, if you burn down your friend's granary and cause them damage, but you violated the Shabbos, you don't have to pay. If you burn it down in Yom Kippur, you won't pay either. Like this. If you put on fire the Gadish of your friend in Yom Kippur, you're not going to pay. Why? There is no payment when it comes to an obligation when there is death penalty. Because the pasuk says, it's talking about they pushed a pregnant woman and she lost her children, but she survived. So the pasuk says, if there's no mishap, in other words, the woman didn't die, then you're going to have to pay the husband for the children for the miscarriage. So we learn from that. But if there will be a mishap, then he should not get punished. And the reason why he shouldn't get punished is because then there would be a chiyuv misa. And what he's saying, even if the chiyuv misa is Yom Kippurim, so over there, if you would violate Yom Kippur and doing a monetary damage at the same time, you're also not going to have to pay. Was this clear today? We'll leave it over here. Was it clear? It's a little bit of a difficult halacha to understand because you wonder why would you not have to pay? What does it got to do with the other one's loss when you're getting a penalty? But that's the halacha. So just a short word on the parsha this week, which is a double portion. It's the portion of Matos and Masei, and we're actually also finishing up the entire book of Bamidbar. So it's Chazak V'nis Chazek this Shabbos, the portion of Bamidbar, and it ends with the portion of Masei. Masei means journeys, and that's basically the verses are recounting in the last Sedra the journeys of the Bnei Yisrael, the Bnei Yisrael's journeys, and all their, their trials, the tribulations, and all the difficulties that they had. And in a way, life is a journey as well. We have our individual journeys as individuals. Hashem sends us into this world, and we have journeys, and sometimes the journeys are filled with obstacles. Sometimes there is pain, sometimes there is difficulty, sometimes there is challenges, there is disappointments. We feel sometimes left out. But the thing is, these journeys lead us eventually to as the parsha to the Yarden Yerechai, which leads us to the eventual entrance to Eretz Yisrael, to each one in their own Eretz Yisrael. So while we can't make any sense right now from our destiny and our difficulties, we don't know. But when we come to the final place, we will see that all of the difficulties made us even stronger and better, brought out inner strength that we didn't know that we possessed to be able to do more, expect more from ourselves, even what we didn't know that we had before. And this is also the golus, the exile. We've been in exile for so many years, so many generations, and we don't see an end in sight. In the meantime, there is tsuris, there is hatred, there is anti-Semitism, there is a lot of difficulties. The Jewish people, we used to think that troubles is in Israel, in Europe, but you heard the story in Brighton. There was over here in the Shela house, there was a rabbi who was stabbed. The guy it was a miracle, mamish, a big miracle. The Eibishter had mercy because the guy had a revolver. He could have, used it, chas v'shalom, and on the rabbi and on the children. He was there. And generally, the world is full with anti-Semitism. And generally, I think that when there's difficulty, or corona, and financially, when there's problems, the scary thing is there's all these haters that are giving disinformation. People are reading all kinds of stuff in the media and everything, and people believe today everything. Like we find it hard to see how people can believe a lot of this different thing. It's sometimes very shocking. Even people that I expect them to be reasonable people. And again, I'm not saying that I'm right, but from my perspective, I say, where is your reason? Why don't you use, like they say, abyssal seichel? So people are saying all kinds of stuff on the internet, and they're causing a lot of problems. Causing problems. But like we say in it's the journey. That's the journey. But we say in the beginning, the Parshas Matos, Hashem says, "Nekoim nikmas Hashem b'Midyan." Take the revenge of Hashem b'Midyan. That's what Moshe says. So Moshe is saying, take revenge for Hashem. And then Hashem says to Moshe, take revenge for the Jews. So Moshe is honoring Hashem, and Hashem is honoring the Jews. But it's time for us already that we've been waiting and we're hoping and praying for Mashiach to come and to make the world a better place and give us some peace and some shalom, and hope that Hashem will bless everybody, that their journey should be in a revealed way, only pleasant, only good, only happy, only successful. So I guess this is something to look forward to. And I guess that's our class for today. We have an upcoming wedding, Mitzvah Shem, for our son. I want you to put it on the calendar. It would be very meaningful. I can't expect Roy to fly down there, even though I would be very touched if you did, but that would be a lot to expect. It's on August 19th. That's a Thursday. August 19th.
Where?
In your calendars, what are you guys? It would be really, now we're Chavrus already, so we have a special connection.
Where's the wedding?
Oh,
Grand Heights?
I lost the voice. Hold on.
Where?
I don't know. It's in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights, in 770.
I have another wedding that Thursday night.
Oh, you can't be at two weddings at the same time. Where is that wedding?
Steve Grayman, his son is getting married.
Where?
In Connecticut.
He's doing an early wedding, then you can go from this wedding to the other. Okay, listen, I can't tell you where to go, but to me it would mean a lot, but it is what it is. Love to be with my. Yeah, I'm done. Almost done. Yeah. Okay, I'm being called. I have a higher calling now. So we'll catch up with you next week in Mr. Shem at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. Stay well. Hope you enjoyed it. I did. Thank you.